Ruler School is brought to you
Top
by
8
Odyssey
slot.
Games, where you can go
Only
to
one of the
pre-order
7
upcoming Force of
played
Will sets,
2-1-1s
ccgprimes.com
made
for
over
singles and
breaker.
supplies,
Intro is playing
cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now offering our 2024 Quarter 1 Circuit Kits, and our guest lecturer members, Fight Ramen. Class is in session.
Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will and lots of fun goofing around with Pilgrim Memories to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined by Paul Reisman. Paul.
Hi. It's
How
me.
you doing, buddy? It is.
I'm doing okay. It was a good week last week.
Yeah, it was a good week. Yeah, it was a good week. I got to play some really fun, silly Pilgrim Memories decks that I immediately needed to update because turns out building a list in 30 seconds doesn't work. If you want to try to get recordings of lists, you need to spend maybe a little bit more time on it, but it's okay. We're ready now to be able to record them. Good times. Good times. Yeah, pretty chill week in Force of Will world as well. We just had our first ever circuit event, the inaugural Ruler School Circuit event, just happened on our Discord on Saturday and Sunday. It was awesome. We had just because we're the only one doesn't mean we can't be your favorite. Dan, that's rude. Okay? It's rude. We can be both. They're not mutually exclusive, okay? Seriously. Anyway, so we had our event, 29 players, which I was very, very happy with. From all over the world. We had players from Singapore, Germany, the US, Canada. I don't think we had any Spanish players this time around. They typically don't tend to enter my events, but it was still a good crowd nonetheless. I was very happy with the turnout. The format for the event was exclusively that you had to play a Grim Tag combo, and I was pretty impressed with the diversity of what was A, brought to the event, and B, made it into the top cut. I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
Quickly gonna go over the ruler breakdown because it was something else. So we had 29 players, and it was scroll. It's in here somewhere. I should probably just search this page for my own posts. Please don't give me posts from a million years ago. Okay, we had 2 lists running Grim plus Puss in Boots. Not a combination that I thought would be played, but seems pretty cool. 2 Snow White X Little Reds. That made sense to me. 2 Fault Gold plus Sherry's, which I was very, not a list that I would have thought of, but one of them made top 8, so we're going to kind of talk about that. 2 Lumia Sherry's, totally makes sense. Lumia Sherry was even popular before Pilgrim Memories. A Snow White plus Grim, didn't expect to see that. Christy X Abdul, that was playing Fina, like old school Fina from the very beginning of the game, so mad props on playing that list. It's another one that,
Elf,
it helps
right?
blank stuff. Yeah, it helps blank stuff, which was pretty neat. Grim plus True Red, which was the never end double pump kind of deck. Sherry plus Christy. 2 different people playing double Pandora. 2 people playing Little Red Wolf Girl plus Seer. 3 people playing Christy plus Seer. 1 person playing Bahamut plus Seer. 1 person playing Alice plus Little Red, which I found out why. There's a really neat interaction. So, Friends of Wonderland says that if you add a non-fairy tale to your hand from your deck, you discard it. And so you use Crimson Moon to search the moon of Wolf of the Crimson Moon, and then discard it immediately so that you can just then reanimate it without having to pay Will for it. I'm like, That's so. It's really cool. That's
Yeah.
like a really cool idea.
It's very solid.
Yeah, it's such a cool idea. And then just like constant pressure with Little Red. And then a Seer plus Abdul, which we kind of expected that combination. Nameless Girl plus Christy. Nameless Girl made a showing. There you go. Snow White and Christy. Alice, 3 copies of Alice and Grimm, and then 2 copies of Little Red plus True Red. So overall, the most represented rulers were Grimm, Christy, Little Red, and Seer, which I think going into this weekend were the rulers that we expected to be the most represented in any kind of duos. They all had 7 like pairings that they were a part of, 7 each. That to me was like, first off, the spread itself was phenomenal. It was like 18 different combinations over the span of 29 players. Like, that's pretty huge. No ruler represented more than 3 times like a specific combination. And a pretty diverse set of ideas. I think for me, and I'm curious for you, Paul, how it's been up at CCG Prime. One of the things that I think Pilgrim was kind of like out the gate, just kind of like, oh, here's the easy build, was just like anything related to Little Red and Wolves. So there was an element going into this weekend where I was a little nervous that this format was like, that this particular tournament was just going to be a bunch of different Little Red Wolf Girl builds. So I was pleasantly surprised. It's very, very cool. And then our top 8s were after final standings, Matthew Lindley won with Sherry X Christie. Second place was Jeremy Lindley, so the Lindley brothers taking it, with Christie X Seer. Third place was also Christie X Seer. Fourth place was Jordan Williams on Seer plus Little Red. So Seer and Christie kind of really sweeping the top end there. But then we also had Fault Gold and Sherry, Lumia and Sherry, Alice plus Little Red, and Double Pandora also made it into the top 8. And then on the bubble, we had a couple more Grimm lists, Grimm Alice lists that just like lost out on breakers. So, yeah, I get like combo, control, aggro, burn, all present, and combo decks, mid-range stuff, all present in this first event, which I think is a good indicator.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the top 8, just seeing like all of these similar ruler names is a little concerning. But looking at the list a little bit more closely, there is a little bit of a diversity in just how people were like looking at their decks and running them. Especially that John Paul Clintworth list with Alice and like tutoring your wolf to discard it.
Yeah.
Very, very, very different. Did not even consider that.
He was also using the Incarnate package to like double up on wolves before and after calling stones. Like the idea of swing out with everything, sack them to put Adam Brawleys and Cthulhu's on field, then call stone, reanimate them right back, go back in.
Yeah.
Which I think was a really cool way to make use of the Incarnate engine with that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Pretty standard like card packages from what we've seen before. You know, as a first glance, it's not surprising to me that the quote unquote new Falchion control lists got to sit there and do good Falchion things. Those decks got a lot of new tools, and they still got the old tools. Interesting thing with Falchion, the interesting tech we saw that Matthew Lindley used was playing the Little Red package for Refarth and Gates of Refarth, and then using Sherry to start the game with a true red stone. And then he played 4 copies of actual Feathsing, the pure magic stone, in his stone build. Because the way Gate of Refarth works is you actually have to have true magic stones to get the more stat negs. and pure Hearthstone isn't a true stone. When it was under development, we thought it was going to be a true stone. It is not. So the fact that you specifically have to hit actual true stones to be able to get bigger stat eggs. So just quad actual feat things in the deck list in the stone deck. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty neat. I like that a lot. It was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a cool engine to me. And he was sideboarding true red. And he didn't say it came up in the matches that he came up against, but it was interesting. He did go in Swiss, he went XO1. So he did draw one of his games. We had a lot of people going into Top Gut who were at 9 points or 10 points because they all went XO1. So a lot of space still to be discovered with this format, but it was fun to be the kind of premier event of getting some tournament data. That was pretty cool. And we have 15 other circuits in this next month and a half to get data from. I am so excited to be able to put forth the first wave of actual circuit data. People are like, oh man, so little time between, so we don't get so few tournaments, no GPs or whatever. And just to be like, yeah, well, what if we just hosted 16 events?
There you go.
We'll do it.
Of course, all of these, if you're looking for the deck lists, they're currently in the Facebook for the global chat, but they will be hosted on the website, and there will be a tournament report later on. So if you're looking for that one-stop shop, it's going to be there. Just not yet.
Just not yet. I mean, we had it happened. Top Cut was yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, it was just yesterday. That's true.
It truly was just yesterday. One thing that was interesting, though, it was quite honestly was very close to being the shortest top 8 of my life. So the reason why is because people because of time constraints were conceding their top 8s and then realizing that they actually had more time than they were supposed to have. So then they were like, hey, can I still play the top 8? It was just and then people conceded in top 4 because they had time constraints. It's just
so weird.
So many concessions. But I mean, that's the kind of the fun of the circuit is we ran the top 8, but it was the only prizing is the champion mat. So, it's not a huge indicator. Speaking of a top 8 that you won't want to concede, though, we did just get word today that Converging Wills on March 16th and 17th is back. Converging Wills is back with a big international playmat tournament coming up on March 16th and 17th. You can go check out the information in our Discord server. It's going to be huge. You get 2 packs of Pilgrim Memories plus a FOW die plus an acrylic will coin just for signing up. And if you say that you're repping Ruler School on the sign up, you'll get extra perks. They've kind of continued these guild wars, only we're not the only guild anymore. Ruler School, the OLS, and freaking Nico Bros store over in Italy is we now have 3 clans that you can champion for. So it's which clan will come out on top. So you can go champion that, and they've got tons of awesome playmats and everything else. And we'll, if we hit 60 players, then it's, even more prizing gets tossed in, and that's gonna be a fun time. I'm gonna try to play in that one, so it'll be good. So that's an awesome one. And speaking of cool stuff, I do have. So no promos for entry. I think they also get promos for entry. Yes, correct. You also get promos for entry. Thank you for correcting me on that. I do have one thing to share. I got approval to show it off 30 minutes ago, which is I can show you just in time. So we do have the kits right now. The whole idea of the circuit kits is that you are supposed to be running your events in February through March to kind of finish out the quarter. We'll start taking orders on Q2 kits at mid to late March into April, so then we can ship them out by the end of April. We're really hoping that people spread the word about these so we can try to do even more kits this next time. But I do have the official promo of the next quarter's circuit, Matt. And I'm pretty dang happy with this one. So it's coming up on the screen right now. Yes, I'm biased. Get over it. The Alice extension rule is going to be our official playmat. Return of the Guardian is going to be the next quarter's circuit playmat. And this I cannot wait to have as a playmat. This artwork is phenomenal. The depth of this artwork, because of like the card art, that's the cards that are like out of focus in the foreground, the little sparkle, like lens flare effects, everything else, and just Wednesday being an amazing artist. This is going to be an incredible mat that I really cannot wait to give out and send orders out for this kit. Just really trying to hit banger after banger for making these kits worth your time. And these exclusive mats. So, mwah, very good. So, be staying tuned for details on how to get that when it gets released. So, Paul, how are you enjoying this new format, buddy?
It's been interesting. I've been more on the receiving end of experiments than I have been experimenting myself.
Sure.
However, I do have one particular deck I'm looking forward to running at locals this week, and I cannot wait.
He cannot wait.
A man once by the name of Lars Graham told me that if you really want to get good at the game of Force of Will, you should play IU. And with all of this new support and this really good extension rule that IU has, I figured why the heck not. So
okay, are you playing it starting as IU?
Yes,
that makes sense. I think IU, I think Scarlet equally as well can just start with her extension rule and feel fine about it. Mm-hmm. From my playing as Rhea and playing Station Rhea, I do think that there's a world where you can just start as Rhea and it's probably fine. I think Station Rhea arguably is probably more like across the board better, right? Being able to like always have a partner to call stone for Rhea is important, but I also think it's meta dependent, right? If people aren't going to be flipping J rulers and it's going to be harder for you to do liberations, then yeah, that can be a struggle. But there's always a world where you could start as a Station with the extension rule Return of Judgment, and then just in game 2 start as Rhea with Return of the Blood, and just like that's a clean 1-to-1 swap. I think that's fine. But IU to me definitely felt like one of the ones kind of out the gate that you didn't really need to be a Station.
Yeah, I think looking at the support that she receives and just looking back on the support that we've gotten since New Valhalla, which is when she was last legal.
Right.
There's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Dan, prepare. There you go.
Very excited.
Are you only locals?
Well,
please
the thing
no.
is,
please no.
The thing is, her judgment is only 2, right? Like it's not hard to judgment her very quickly, and then you just like have the reincarnation to go on top of that, as well. So like you have this bigger body and everything else, and like it's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
Just dump it for free to look for a soul, so you're just scrying through your deck very quickly. And the extension rule also has draw implications, so there are things that I don't have to run that are probably something I would in the past. This is just really solid. Plus your souls are cheaper.
What if you had a free Birth of the Twin Princes every turn. Seemed pretty good.
Seems pretty good.
Seems pretty good. Seems
pretty good. Can your opponent interact with it? No? Cool.
Well, I mean, they can, but like they'd have to use a Lorite to stop it. But it can't be canceled, right? In the sense that they can't play a cancel spell to stop your Birth of the Twin Princes. And it's also free, much like Birth of the Twin Princes was through Mastery, right?
Yeah.
Only this one doesn't care about things like Muse staring it. You just get to resolve it.
Also, if you're using a Lorite on my draw ability, thank you. That's one less Lorite
Yeah.
I have to worry about when I...
Yeah, for sure. That's true. That is true.
Other than that, we've seen a lot of cool builds. Dan was doing some things with apples and cane last week, and I think he's still messing with that. I know one of our folks brought just like green-black Rhea with part of True Power, Girion, that like
Nice.
just classic nighttime control. I'm trying to think of like, oh, and Dan did play Grim Alice against me, and I was like surprised as to how resilient that deck really is.
That deck that deck has a lot of oomph. And then Abdul flips, and you're like, oh, right, this is what this deck dealt with back in the original days.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. How do I win?
Must be playing attack orders, not just enter offense.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about this, behind the podcast, how attack order has had like a real resurgence in value.
Yeah.
Just
And Black Moon Ray.
Black Moon Ray. That's nice.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like instant speed J Ruler hate is like a thing. We talked about this. Josh, one of our locals, who played Josh is a freaking rock in terms of like his commitment to FOW. He is a great guy. He will tell you himself that he is not a good player, but he builds really fun lists. He's frequently on the channel. He's a great guy. We're really dependable, and he's been through Force of Will thick and thin. He is not afraid to say when he's like frustrated or whatever, but he himself has like the Pilgrim Memories brought back an influence of J Rulers, like unique J Rulers mattering in such a way that really captures that like old essence of FOW. But in the sense, you also have to respect that like cards that weren't that great even recently have suddenly had new life breathed back into them because of the influence of suddenly having J Rulers, right? Like Attack Order, when printed, we were like, oh, this is great. And then people were like, yeah, I'm just not going to put out J Rulers, or I'm just going to order 3 drops so that it can't kill anything. And now it's like, oh, no. J Rulers are important. So like Attack Order finally starts coming back, into elements. Damascus Moon is suddenly a card that comes back into relevancy because a lot of Pilgrim Memories is really good additions.
Yes,
so just be like, I don't Damascus Moon. Turn off all additions, please. I don't want to deal with it.
Nope.
Things like Death Scythe, like the OG Death Scythe. It's fun to see how much Pilgrim has like repowered old cards, but also just like brought the Grim Cluster Rulers into such a cool space.
Yeah.
Very fun.
I can't. So like I had to like sit down and think about like, okay, what rulers do I really want to work with? Because
Sure.
How many combinations of rulers?
100. Well, if you think about just rulers that got support from Pilgrim Memories, like pure Grim Cluster rulers that got support from Pilgrim Memories, it's 190.
Yeah.
Not including Vingolf 1 because they didn't get any new
I
support.
don't have enough deck boxes for that to set the cores aside. So,
Yes. Yeah.
So I have to make some choices.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately meant that some were like put to the side, but it's not like, oh, I'm never going to pick these up or I'm never going to have interest in these. It's just like there's just so many things I get to do and there's just not enough time to experiment, right? 'Cause we gotta put videos on the channel.
Yeah, we do have to turn around content. Like we gotta try.
And
don't get me wrong.
Ways, I'm still playing catch up, which is why I've been on the receiving end of Grim Cluster, right? So you'll see a couple of my videos come out that are playing some of the stuff from Judgment of the Rogue Planet, but some of the new stuff from Pilgrim Memories will leak into that, I think, too.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the nice things about, I think, even on the content production side, is there have been times in the past where if we're currently where if the last set didn't introduce too much, then like our player bases at our locals don't really experiment too much. So then it's kind of on Paul and I to like be the ones showing off the new stuff, which is like, again, causes problems when A, our deck builds don't quite do what we want them to do, or B, we just like don't get good matchups for content, because Paul and I just record at locals. Like we don't record outside of, like, I would love for Paul and I to be able to sit down for like 6 hours and just like jam out a bunch of games and like pick the best 3 to build you a match. Like it would be great. But we just don't have the time for that. But with Pilgrim Memories, the nice thing is our local players on, I think, definitely at Odyssey, and I think for sure Paul can speak for CCG Prime, they're doing a lot of the creative deck building for us too. So even if we don't necessarily bring the best thing, or it's like not quite right, we can usually get something that's pretty dope from the other person who's building something. Like I didn't get it recorded, but one of our locals played True Red with antibodies.
What?
So you just flipped True Red, so every antibody was freaking huge. And I'm like, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that person.
Yeah. It's so funny. Or like even silly things like I'm currently building, it's not sleeved, it's not built, but it's on the docket for what I want to build. Turbo Fog. I'm gonna build Lumia Puss in Boots Turbo Fog. Hear me out. That combination has unlimited ways to say I just don't take damage this turn. So I'm very excited to play that deck. It feels very dumb, but I'm gonna build it, and then I'm gonna ship the list to Zach Tufford, and I'm gonna say, hey, you wanna come? You wanna play Turbo Fog? Come on back and play some Turbo Fog? Zach Tufford, come on back.
Let's do it in the same set.
So
Don't do that.
don't do that. No, I'm doing it. Turbo Fog. Babatune, haven't messed with the new cards yet. Well, that's a shame. What cracked combos have people cooked up already? What are the problem cards of this set? I genuinely don't think there's any like problem cards that we've seen so far. The meta is certainly still very much experimenting. I think out of Pilgrim Memories, the boogeyman you have to be aware of is just wolves. Right? Is just the interaction of like Wolfstone plus Crimson Wolf. That's just an interaction that you just have to respect. But I think our tournament results showed that we had 7 different little red lists in our 29-person event. Only 2 made top cut, and only 1 made it to top 8 or top 4 because their top 8 opponent conceded. And then also they then conceded top 4. So didn't play a single game in the top 8. But the other little red list got beat 2-0 in top 8. So it's one of those things where you have to respect it. But if you can respect it, you're in a good shape. But there is still a lot of unexplored space in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those, like, this is one of those formats that, like, you could just play for forever, and you would discover a lot of new things. So, alternate format, fan based. I don't know.
Heavenly Magic also a bit too strong, potentially. We'll see. I mean, like there's nothing to me that's like outside of like Eris is saying the biggest problem has been Wolves plus Stone, but it's respect this and you're okay. Like we've identified the first hurdle of the format, and we've already kind of showed that it's not as big of a hurdle as you think. There is still more exploration to go. The next exploration is probably something with Gate of Refarth and the stat neg that it brings, or like Heavenly Magic. There's just got to figure some stuff out. Reminding myself of the text of Heavenly Magic.
Yeah, I'm reading this card again too, because just like Babatunde, like I have not explored this nearly as much as I
To
would
get
like
the
to.
pierce. To get the
Yeah.
pierce. Yeah, for sure. And also being able to recover your stones and have a bunch of extra will. That's a very real thing.
Yeah.
And then we
This
start to
card
see
is
things like
cracked. Weird.
Caduceus come back, right? Curse of Caduceus, where you can't recover stuff, right?
Mhm.
So like I said, I think the first hurdle in this format, in terms of exploring this format, is wolves with stones, and we've already kind of shown that hurdle is not as high as we thought, and so now it's like on to the next discovery. But even then, those extra discoveries has not proven, like, we've had one event, and that event was incredibly diverse, and those decks had hangups, right? So like there's a lot of space to still be explored. And also keep in mind that our event this past weekend was Grim Cluster only, right? So like, are those decks going to carry the exact same weight when walking into the full Wanderer meta, which we'll see out of the other circuits and everything else. It does with Othyrus. Hey. So for me, I've just really been enjoying stupid 5-minute builds. I have posted several just like, this is dumb, I built it in 5 minutes, I'm excited to try it. Like, but then you're hard casting Othyrus. This is a lot of hashtags that's going on between you and Ares. The format is so fun that like, and other people are doing so many cool other things that I like don't mind it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where like, outside of anytime that I've been killed in this format, it's usually by something that's like ridiculously cool, like someone figuring out something pretty cool, or like a cool interaction, or even just like seeing an old ruler doing its cool thing. So I'm just like, yeah, great. Like, losing hasn't felt bad to me in this environment
Yeah.
yet. Outside of just like, I was stupid and didn't respect wolves. But that feels like that's just me. Like, I should know better to like respect wolves, right? It's not like I'm mad at my opponent. It's a good engine. Let him have it. But outside of that, and even then, it's like, oh yeah, wolves. That's pretty cool.
I'm still like just increasingly. I just really love how the Grim Cluster rulers have such distinct ways of playing compared to
Oh yeah,
literally every other ruler in the game.
for sure, for sure.
Grim Cluster just doesn't feel like any other cluster. It's wonderful.
Neo Rag Lich. That's interesting. Neo Ragnarok Lich. How are you getting Divinity Infinity? Tell me how. Tell me. Anyway, when you should expect a match with Kaguya. I have my Seer plus Abdul list designed and like tweaked to the point where I think it's ready to be recorded. So I'm going to be trying to record that this week. That's kind of one of my shots. The decks that I currently have built to record on my end are Christie X Dracula, Seer X Kaguya, or Seer X Abdul, and Double Pandora for the alt win con. Yeah, we're trying to go for it. Box of Chaos. Hard casting it? Okay, that makes sense. There's just a lot of world to explore in this environment, and it feels like it's so, unlike with previous competitive environments, it's so much exploration and so many cool things that you can do that diving into the tank feels rewarding and enjoyable, even if what I come out with at the other side is total garbage. Because I just like goofed off and like had a good time. And that to me is like really, really fun. Really, really, really fun.
100%.
I'm excited about
Meanwhile, the deep end is so deep that I'm like, I'm just gonna start with this singular ruler.
it. Yeah.
That gets
Pause over.
every kind of the game available to it, but like,
Pause. Okay. Sam, I'm sorry. Apollo Sphere cannot cast Neo Ragnarok. We tried. You specifically have to use Apollo Sphere to cast Neo cards with Quick Cast, which is why we use Thunder of Zeus. Because that card's a water chant that has Quick Cast.
It does.
You cannot use Apollo Sphere to cast Neo Ragnarok, because the reference to something that's a spell chant instant specifically has to refer to chant with Quick Cast. We tried the idea of Apollo Sphere Neo Ragnarok on 2. Doesn't work. I'm sorry. We used Thunder of Zeus instead.
Did you hear something?
I can hear the screams.
It was so quiet. Like it was really far away.
But it was there. It was heard. It was the no heard around the world. Yeah, I mean, like there's so much to this. Like I could look into the competitive elements of like, oh, we could go back to Hyde, we could go back to Killua, we could go back to Solaria, but I don't want to. Because there's so much fun space to explore in Grim Cluster that I'm like, I already know what those decks are going to look like. If I want to go get competitive and test the competitive game, I can build those in like 2 seconds. There's 190 combinations, 70 of which are probably unplayable garbage, but I want to try them. Dracula did not show up in my tournament. He did not. Olivia can cast Neo Ragnarok on turn 1?
I can't tell if Steven is referring to Apollo Sphere or Neo Ragnarok.
Or Neo Ragnarok. Yeah, I don't know.
Once upon a time, though, Min Ha did send me a very funny list in in which you played Apollo Sphere in Olivia, so you could cast Thunder of Zeus.
Yeah. It's the best water chant with Quick Cast to play off of Apollo Sphere.
Yeah, really okay, good. Steven...
Yeah, Thunder of Zeus.
You can do that.
Babatunde, you wish the tournament was recorded. Would have been nice to see some decks in execution. For sure. That's fair. We're going to try to stream the Odyssey circuit event, which is going to happen on March 9th. Pretty sure. We're finalizing some details, but the Odyssey Games in-person circuit event is going to be happening March 9th, so we're going to be trying to stream that for people. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Like there's truly so much. And as people talk about like Seer, it was like, oh, well, what do you partner with Seer? And it's like general good value stuff is Seer plus Kaguya. A good darkness discard control build is Seer plus Abdul. And then if you want to go stealth, it's actually best to play Seer plus Christie. Seer plus Sherry. Seer plus Sherry is the best stealth combination in my mind because your turn 1 stone is always Dark Depths. And then you have Executioner and Lunar Lake live immediately. And then your other stones can be the better stones. And that's how you play Stealth Seer. You partner with Sherry. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah. I'm really excited to see what people continue to bring up with. I'm excited to hear about potential GP announcements, hopefully soon. So we can start planning our schedule for that. And Paul can try and fail to get the weekends off so that I'm left to try to scrounge to find someone to commentate with me, as usual.
Some of us do have to work on the weekend, or as I like to call it.
Yeah, that's true.
Monday.
Church. Yeah, Monday. That's fair.
My Monday is in the past to your Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's a thing too. At locals, someone Apple rouletted with Calamity Shield active.
Yeah, yes. So it doesn't matter. So it's just you're taking all of it.
Very much was the thing. It was great.
Just like Calamity Shield, Apple Roulette, and then I'm gonna go Deer. I take no damage. Flash in Deer.
Or like a real reverse moment, and you're like,
Calamity Shield.
Calamity Shield.
Hey.
Your Calamity Shield.
Hey, there it is. There's so much fun stuff, and it's like cool to see just like every ruler get some love, right? It's just so nice. It's very, very fun. Um, let's talk milled 8 for 4,000 damage. Jeez Louise, that's ridiculous. Let's talk about GPs.
GPs.
Obviously, hope is that we have a mix of in-person and online, right? I would imagine in-person ones will probably have multiple invites, whereas online ones will probably have just one, as it's been in the past. Which will be good. That's fine with me. If we have, going into this is probably going to be a smaller Worlds because it's only 1 year worth of invites, right? I mean, they might do because of the speed of it, they might do multiple invites per online event, which would be dope. So then we have like a pretty good sized crowd, but we'll see what their plan is for only 1 year worth of invites before Worlds in Japan. We're going back to Tokyo. I honestly would kind of really like to go back to the Maple Inn. Really loved that hotel. Freaking sweet. But we'll see what the venue is this time. Would love to go back to the Maple Inn Makuhari Hango. Friggin' awesome. Love that place. Anyway, what do we think GP promo should be? What do you think?
Let me look at my public staples list.
Yeah, for sure.
Which admittedly still says 2003 staples, but I can edit that.
We in 2024 now, boy.
We are. Thank God. Kind of, maybe. Too soon to say. Girls staring at or Muse staring at would be really interesting, although a little soon.
I think a little soon and a little too low rarity.
But they're so good.
I mean, they're so good. But like those
so
feel
good.
those feel like prime monthly promo slot material for me, not GP level. Does that make
That's
sense?
fair. So
I could see a.
So what makes a GP promo different?
I think that there's
its...
Yeah, that's a good
promo,
question.
yeah.
We can like I think that there's an element of like a combination of accessibility, flexibility, and like importance / how recent it was to me. Like something that's a little bit harder to find, I think makes a really nice GP promo for entry, right? Yeah. I'm thinking like, if we hadn't seen Flute, like Split Flute, get reprinted a bunch of times recently, I would say like Flute or like Oborozuki, like Vampire Astrology and Oborozuki. Like that to me would be like Chef's Kiss. GP pro, like that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about. I could even see like and I think to me Muse staring at and Girls staring at are I think a little too soon, which is why I say monthly promo, but something like Fossil Girl in the City,
right?
Like
high utility
as a GP entry promo, like that. I could see because it's staple enough, it's important enough, it's very cool that you could probably do some pretty easy fan art for it, like new art for it, and it's not so new that it's like, well, those are everywhere anyway, right? You know what I mean? Like there's enough of a value to it to see it that I think that would be helpful.
I kind of like the
Electra.
idea of I mean Electra. For sure, is everyone saying?
Yeah, 4-drop, shooting star Electra. That would be an easy one. That's a no brainer. Like that kind of thing.
I'm looking at Rogue Spectator.
Ooh, also a very solid choice. Very solid choice. A Rogue Spectator promo would be pretty sick. I do think that would be sick. It might be if he hadn't just been reprinted in Pilgrim, I'd say I could go for that. But he just got reprinted in. That card, I don't think people would want as a promo. I think people would be too mad at it as a card.
Fair.
I think alt arts alt arts for Grim Rulers might be pretty cool. Do his ruler promos.
That'd be really cool. And
Replicant
timely.
Shiva also feels a little bit too soon. I just think anything from JRP is like probably too soon personally. Rogue Spectator would be pretty cool. Another Mikage Ray.
Well, there
Another
was that
one.
one time they did the duets, right?
The
As
duets
like
could be really, yeah, those would be really
um,
nice. Like a suite.
the multicolor Percivals would be a cool like set to have.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
really know if they have like meta relevance enough, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like because typically our entry promos are so good, having one that's just kind of like, huh, is usually kind of par for the course. So I guess
Yeah.
like having a set of like each event has one of the Percivals randomly there would be like, yeah, okay. Um, Damascus
Thunder
Moon,
Parasol?
maybe Thunder actually
Mermaid Thunder
insanely meta
Parasol?
relevant, right? Maybe insanely meta relevant. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I know people would really like it, but I think Lumia, like split Lumia, would be good. I
that'd be
do.
good.
I know I did mention flute, but I'm also like the split cards. How do you do them as a GP promo, right? Like, there's also that element
That's
to
where
it
I'm
too.
at. So
Where
I'm
it's
like,
how?
like in my head,
Yeah.
I've steered away from the splits, right?
Yeah,
Um,
they would have to look like super different. I feel like I don't know. I mean, it
yeah.
could just be two brand new artworks, but like, maybe. If they were going to do a split card though, split Lumia would definitely be the one to do, I think. Because that card is also seeing a lot more meta relevance now because it RFGs things, which means we can get the wolves out of the frickin' picture. Just get it out of here. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want this wolf. Conflict? Ooh, you know, the Brad
Sword?
spells Sword of Prague, Conflict, both good choices. Like the Brad spells, I think could make cool choices. Not Chivalry's Tears because it just got reprinted, but it could potentially maybe.
Yeah.
They could do another set of cards with the duets, the Brad spells. Yeah, that would be pretty
Mm.
sweet. Yeah, 3 of the 5 of
Yeah,
those
like
still see
a-
good play
Like a set. It would be really
of
cool.
the Brad spells. The
Um,
green split card being Perseus Big Show, Perseus/Perseus Big Show. I mean, like, I think people would love having another way to get Perseus and Perseus Big Shows. But I do say that like,
Burial?
ooh, Sacred Burial could honestly be pretty nice as a promo.
I feel like that's a monthly though. I don't know why.
It does.
just
It
feel like
also
a
does
monthly.
feel like, yeah, it feels like a monthly promo.
Got blessings of
does.
Yggdrasil energy, right?
Got big blessings of Yggdrasil energy.
Romer.
But that's like, that's true. Well, first off, here's one thing: when are we gonna see these freaking Worlds qualifiers, like these Worlds top player GP promos? Alejandro, you in chat? Where's your promo, bro? And also tell me who you chose.
Oh, that's
Did
right.
you choose Lowrite? And who did you choose as your second card? And why was it Romer? I'm staring you down, Alejandro. You in chat. I know you there. I saw you.
He did comment a while ago.
Yeah, you're here. He's here. He's here. A Daji promo? That'd be pretty interesting.
Law of Silence would be kind of good because they just got unbanned.
Yeah, but it's also
It's
like
just
super
Christie now,
niche.
right?
Because it's just Christie. There's a lot of cool choices.
Yeah.
They also, that's what you want to know. Tell me what characters you chose.
We do want to know.
Just tell us. Just type it. Take your fingers. Type it out. Hit the enter button. If not in the chat, into my private messages so that I can know what is going to be the Alejandro promo. And when is the unofficial friggin' last audience promo? This guy.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna someday.
It's gonna happen.
Someday I'm gonna get that. Maybe
The
that's
guilds
this.
are
Just
gonna get big
maybe
enough that they just make like the guild promo set.
maybe that's what one of the GP promos this year is the unofficial now official last audience. It's Jeremy as last audience promo. Great.
Hear me out. Rebooted Death Scythe.
With the actual errata text.
So the Rada text and new art, because I think it's ripe for it.
Fair. Unbanned sealed one-eyed. First live promo would be fun. We have a first live promo. It's a monthly promo.
it's a monthly
It looks very
promo.
nice. Errors corrected themselves immediately. Lots of cool. I mean, but like the promos themselves have also just been phenomenal. I don't know if anyone has seen in person. I think I have them. The most recent promos were Perfect Loki, and what else was the other one? Let me go check because they look really nice. Paul, distract the audience.
As I just said in the chat, there's only one answer, and we should have a GP promo for Institute. Yeah, rebooted Death Scythe did get errated, so you now only need instead of 2 recovered Moon Protection rulers, you only need 1. Also, daily research would be really good. I agree, Alejandro. I would also just be okay with Death Scythe rebooted being a monthly promo, but I think there's something about like a really cool mech being a GP promo, because then you get like 2 pieces of art. Number 13 would make a lot of sense to me too. Also that, yeah, if the GP promos were just the champion cards, I think that honestly makes so much sense. I don't know why we don't do it that way. That's kind of great. Let's see what else. I'm just gonna go back to the top of my list here and just look. There's so many cards that we already got promos of, so it's a little unfortunate. I wouldn't mind like Charlotte, Inheritor of the 7th Power. That would be a cool promo. Jeremy found him.
I did it. I remembered which binder they were in. The Perfect
Yeah, all
Loki.
the Chrono Gears as promos. We do.
The Perfect Loki.
Oh,
You have
so
autofocus. Come on, focus.
That's gonna
Perfect
ruin
Loki.
their posture.
And the daily research for the most recent ones. Those turned out really, really nice. Our monthly promos have just been so sick lately too. Just in general, they've all been so good. Would all hero would say, let's see,
The hero cluster
champion
rulers
cards?
with the errata would be ideal.
Oh,
or
but I think they've said that those are being
willpower
reprinted.
rewards.
I think those are being reprinted.
Yeah,
right?
probably
Um,
in the future somewhere.
Tinkerbell, Spirit of the Light Trials would also be a sick promo. Gosh, that card's so good.
I did think about that, and I was like, would that be a GP? I don't know.
There's so many cool options, I think, for this. Also I'm really wondering what top cut promos are going to be, but we'll see. Hopefully we have news soon. If we get news this week, then we know what the podcast is next week. We'll just be saying like, hey, tournaments.
Easy.
Put in my PTO to go requests for the whole year to put in for where I'm going to travel and to buy Paul plane tickets.
So here's the real question. I love that Olivia has so many promos and just like so many
Sure.
like, good things.
Sure.
What about Violet, right? Where's my promo Gradius?
Promo Gradius. Yeah, it would be sick. Also, I see you there, Rick. Hey, buddy. Welcome to your first ever Force of Will office hours. Good to see you there, bud. Fossil Girl in the City, we just talked about, would be a really cool GP promo. We think actually that falls in like the perfect amount of like hard enough to find, but still common enough that it's not like GP promo version or bust. So like the GP promo version would have good art, old enough that it is like worthy of getting into the promo cycle, but not so old that it's like not mechanically like viable in competitive environment. Flexibility enough that it has a lot of uses. Cool character, opportunity for really cool new poses for artwork. Like it is kind of like in prime promo. If not for a GP promo, then a monthly promo for sure.
Yeah, Gradius is expensive.
Final Stance has a promo. That has a monthly promo. Top Cut Gold Uber is probably Contract Grim. I honestly don't think that's true. I don't think it's going to be a Contract Grim because I think they want secret Uber Contract Grim to maintain some freaking respect
For a while. Yeah.
for a long time. That card is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is very funny that we talked about this, I think not necessarily in the podcast, but I've talked about this in a couple of places. If you go unoptimized max rarity Grim plus Alice, it's the most expensive deck in Force of Will history. It's like $4,000.
Gross.
4 Secret Contract Grim alone is $1,500. E-Punk Grim is another $400. 4 Booty Cats, which means that you're playing, that's $120 a piece. So that's another about $480. So we're already up to like $2,300. Then you have the 4 Secret Rare Cheshire Cats, which is about another $600. So now we're almost at $3,000. Then you have access to the 4 Secret Rare Pure Heartstones, which is about another $600. Then you have 4 Secret Rare Beginning of a Fairy Tales, DBV Foil Dark Alice's, and the list goes on from there. The deck is like $4,000 altogether. If you put it on unoptimized, it's like $4,000.
That is gross.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not going for it. I'm not going. I have the E-Punk Grim.
Don't do it.
I have the E-Punk Grim. I have the Pure Heartstones. I have one of the Cheshires. I have a couple of the Opening of a Fairy Tales. I have what I would consider to be arguably the most expensive Cheshire Cats in the world. But only if you like want to lend credit to the story of how I acquired them as being more valuable than Booty Cats.
I would.
Like, arguably, I have the most expensive playset of Cheshire Cats in the world. But like, I have DBV Dark Alice's. But I'm not getting 4 Secret Rare Grims unless you want to donate them. If you want to donate 3 Secret Rare Grim contracts so that Jeremy can play the most expensive deck in Force of Will, great. My gloves will thank you.
Do tell.
What do you tell?
Yeah.
Oh, so back when the Pantsless Cheshire Cats first happened, the company very quietly put out a statement saying that you could exchange your Cheshire Cats for full art pants on Cheshire Cats. And I'm the only one in the world who did it. I exchanged 4 pantsless Cheshire Cats for 4 pants on Cheshire Cats and then got EG to sign them.
Yeah, those are
Yay!
Those are the most expensive Cheshire Cats in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're signed by EG.
They are the most expensive Cheshire Cats in the world. And I play them in my Grim deck. They could be graded, but I'm not going to grade them. I'm going to use them. The GP promo Dark Alice's are more expensive than the DBV Fuller. That's funny. Well, I have those too, so it's okay.
Well,
We did it. So that's going to be it for us for the night. This has been a very wacky ending to this podcast. But you know what? Sometimes a lighthearted is nice. So a little bit of end of, housekeeping stuff for this week. Tune in tomorrow if you are not a member to be able to see the MOA episode of the Progression series. Thursday for members only, we will be releasing the first episode of SKL for the progression series between me and Bremont. We have moved on to Alice Cluster in our progression series. Wednesday, we will have a feature match between a Apple Roulette Lumia Snow White list versus my Rhea Station deck. Thanks to our good friend Azure, and we'll have deck profiles for both of those lists up this weekend. So full week of content coming out here on Ruler School. Really, really enjoying being able to put out this much content. It's been really fun. I hope you all enjoying the progression series. It's been a lot of fun to play. Alice Cluster is a wild ride. Let me tell you. So stay tuned for that. Normal non-members will be able to see the SKL episode next Tuesday. But if you want to become a member of the channel and support us financially, you'll get access to that episode on Thursday. So that is it for us. So until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined as always by Paul Reisman.
Still playing blue.
Class dismissed.